So I did some research, just essentially going into the Wikipedia page, and I found that there isn't a game for this film.
No?
Yes.
Oh, there
in
is.
fact, there is a game. No, and it came out as James Cameron's Avatar, the game. He wants his name on both the movie and the game, so people know this is his film. And it did not do good.
Oh yeah? Can I buy it cheap?
You can get it on PS3, Xbox 360, computer, Wii, PSP, iOS,
Whoa.
and something called the Symbian 3, which I guess is like a phone.
Maybe.
I think. It might be, I don't know, but it was released like 6 months after the film.
Oh yeah.
So my guess is that if it's a made-for-phone game and also a PS3 game, probably very different.
And PC, don't forget.
Oh yeah, definitely. So anyway, now that we know it's a game, let's talk about the movie.
Oh yeah. James Cameron pillow sheets. So excited.
So, hello everyone, welcome back to Triple J Studios podcast. I'm joined today with the main reason I wanted you on this was so that you could tell me more about how things work, mainly the machinery. So I'm here with the machinery expert, my good friend Hunter.
How bad they messed up.
See, yeah, you've been talking about that, but we're getting to that. We'll
right.
talk about the robots soon enough.
I'll sustain myself.
Yeah. Now, you've seen this film before. Do you remember the first time you saw it? Did you watch it in theaters? Did you watch it at home?
I watched it on my phone at midnight on Disney Plus. Not sponsored.
Oh,
but
so you hadn't seen it before this? Huh?
No.
Okay, so what was your thought of it?
Very impressive. I liked it. Very on par with what you see today. You hear all the awards and stuff, and like, wow, Avatar's amazing. You're like, all right, sure. But when you see it, it's like, wow, that's very much like today. So when I first saw it, I'm like, wow, this is very on par with this type of movie decade. I don't know what to say, but it's
more in the sense of like this film has aged very well.
Yeah.
In the sense, so yeah, definitely. I think, and people must have loved it too because it was directed by James Cameron, and produced by John Landau, who helped with Titanic in 1997. But with a budget of $237 million and then another $9 million for re-release, it ended up getting $2.79 billion and was the, I want to word this correctly, because it was the number one grossing film of all time. But like then you...
Until
last year, which was when Avengers Endgame, shocking, came out and essentially took that off of the charts. So
that was a good run for like a single story movie.
For a single story movie, yeah, it did pretty good, and it was by Fox.
Because Endgame, there was a whole line that built up to Endgame, but Avatar just came out on its own.
Yeah.
With the game, and it shocked the world.
Now, you also know the, like a treatment for films.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so for people who don't know, a treatment for a film is essentially just like a very brief summary of what the film is. So, for instance, we both have a film class, and we had to write a one-page treatment. He wrote an 80-page treatment back in 1994.
Oh, wow.
So before Titanic and all of that. And the main reason he didn't do that was because he knew that the technology wasn't up to his idea yet. So after that, he began working on the language in 2005, and then the screenplay in 2006. So he put a lot of work into it, which we'll talk about more in the film. And then the release date was on December 18th, 2009. It was on my birthday. I didn't see it, because I was 7 and I was like, I don't really care about this kind of film.
It's like, what is this?
Yeah, South Korea had 4D experiences for the film.
Oh, like a scratch and sniff? Like Spy Kids?
Oh, do you remember those? They gave you like the little 3D things.
They all smelled the same? It was great.
Well, yeah, they all smelled the same, but still, that was like the joy for it. So, blah, blah, blah. I'm trying to find the awards, by the way. So it won 9 Academy Awards, or was nominated for 9, including Best Picture and Best Director, and it won 3 for Best Art Direction, Best Cinematography, and Best Visual Effects. Shocking, I know. Also, I don't know if you know this, because I guess it wasn't just out there information. Avatar is set for another 5 sequels. So
I knew of 2 and 3.
So be ready for Avatar 2 and 3, which have completed principal filming, and they'll release on December 17th, 2021, December 22nd, 2023, and then the other two are December 19th, 2025, and December 17th, 2027.
I don't know how they can follow up the first one, other than the main villain coming back, but
But still, it's just a lot.
Yeah.
Especially since, like, what if 2 does good, but then you get to 3 and
what if it
starts
goes
to go
downhill?
downhill?
Then it ruins the name.
And you're like, dang it.
Yeah.
We really had something going, so let's just hop into it. Let's see what Avatar is all about. Let's all get into our little rocket ship, blast off into this film. All right, so we're starting off in 2154. That's our year.
Perfect.
Did you know that? Because I didn't.
Better than Pacific Rim, where it was like 2 years in the past. Like, oh,
was
this
it?
isn't possible.
I hadn't seen it yet, but I guess so. So, essentially, this begins very much to WALL-E, with Earth is running out of its resources, and they need to find a new area that they can go to get a new energy source. So, the RDA, or the Resources Development Administration, they're trying to find unobtainium, which is on a planet called Pandora, and I guess it's on a fictional gas giant called the Alpha Centauri system. Or at least that's like where the planet is.
Right, it's like a moon that surrounds it.
Yeah,
because you see it. In the
Alpha Centauri system, isn't that a 3-star system? It's the closest star system. Blah blah blah. Yeah, it's a triple star system.
Yeah.
So it has, I'd say, pretty much a good bunch. And then it's mainly populated by the Na'vi, which is, how tall do you think they are?
9 foot.
Close. They're 10 feet.
Oh well, how about
or
that?
3 meters. And I'm just reading this off of Wikipedia, just for the opening. They're a blue-skinned, sapient humanoid that live in harmony with nature and worship a mother goddess named Iwa. Awa. Mm-hmm. My bad. What do you think of the Na'vi, just in general, of how they, like, character design?
Like the way they look?
Yeah.
And how they're organized? It's interesting, because when you first see them, they look on their own, like the species itself, they look different. But the Na'vi that are made by the humans, they have the strange facial structure of their operator, their owner.
Of their counterpart?
Yeah. Like, the ears and the teeth are different between the fake Na'vi and the real Na'vi, which is a nice detail. Like, you can see where the DNA has been spliced or whatever between humans and Na'vi.
That's what I wanted to get into, now that you brought it up, was... Do you think that the Na'vi that the humans use, were those genetically modified by the humans, or do you think they were just captured and put into the tubes? Because I thought they were captured.
No. The way that the movie opens is they say that they're grown. Like, as they're traveling from Earth to the planet.
Which, okay.
Yeah, whatever.
We can accept that.
They say that they grow these bodies, and they have DNA from the operators, like Jake Sully's brother, and then the Norm, and everyone else that operates these things has like DNA from humans in it. I don't know why that's important, but I think they're certainly artificial grown. They're not.
Unless the
stolen.
DNA thing was supposed to be like so they could link, they call it, or connect.
Makes it easier.
I guess, and that makes sense. There's a lot of little plot points in this film that are just, you accept it. You go, okay, moving on.
Looks cool enough.
Looks cool. Why not? So they get up there and they use the Na'vi human hybrid, the grown seedlings. I don't know what you call them. The young saplings. Those are what are called the avatars. So that also makes sense of why the Na'vi can detect why they're different.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, that's an alien. By the way, real quick, we're not going to talk about the entire film. We're going to talk about key moments in the film, because this is a long film and our podcasts are long enough. So, definitely going to be trying to get to mainly the key points. And Hunter, if there's anything you want to add, let me know. So our main character, Jake Sully, who was a former Marine, he had a twin brother, but then he died. So he goes up instead because his DNA matches. And they talked about money, but that didn't make sense because they would have to get there, then they'd have to come back, then he could get the money. It kind of seemed like a one-way trip.
Yeah, you're being sent off for a long time, but...
Yeah, it's like you're going to come back eventually. But while up there, he also meets with Dr. Grace Augustine. Augustine? Augustine?
Grace.
Grace, Dr. Grace, who's
Mhm.
the head of the entire Avatar program.
The biological side.
Yeah, and she essentially goes, she does not trust Sully in the slightest. Doesn't have training, he's in a
Yeah.
wheelchair.
Not that she doesn't trust him, but that he's nothing like his brother, who is a lot smarter than him, who had training. You know, they're just throwing the brother at her like, oh, he's the same, have fun.
Yeah, he's close enough. I mean, he has the DNA. But it's in the sense of, he was a Marine, so, and that's a line he says, is once a Marine, always a Marine, okay. But, yeah, she is kind of right.
Yeah.
He has no training, he did.
They're not the same person.
They're not the same person. They're completely different people. They just have the same DNA.
Yeah.
Yay!
So that the body doesn't go to waste.
Yeah. He also meets up with Dr. Norm Spellman. Norm kind of seemed like the norm. But Norm just seemed kind of like here's a relatable character.
Yeah, Norm is weird. First he was thrown in, and then it's like, alright, here's Norm. He's gonna be with Jake Sully. And then he just never really developed more than, oh, he's also operating Avatar. Oh, cool.
Wasn't even that. It was like after the first time that they became avatars, kind of gone after that.
Yeah, I mean, he got sour, I guess, and then wasn't really happy with Jake, and then he was happy again with Jake for whatever reason. We don't know why Norm exists, but he does. And
it was so confusing of why Norm was even there.
Yeah, Norm didn't do anything.
No, but either way, they get into these giant test tube kind of things, almost like an
MRI?
Like an MRI kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Probably better than test tube.
Test tube.
And when they go in, they link. I have no idea how. Because, okay, I guess they're in the sleep kind of state because of, you can see their eyeballs moving under their eyelids. So I'm assuming like REM, rapid eye movement.
I would say it's something like, it's like radio waves and it's using your brain to power another brain in the main body. I don't know how they would...
Through an MRI.
Yep, through an MRI machine nonetheless. It's quite impressive.
Very impressive, but he finds out that when he's in the Avatar body, he can run because needs to say his legs work and he's able to run around.
Paralyzed from the waist down and...
Which, are we supposed to assume that was because of
the war?
His time as a Marine?
Probably.
Okay. That's how I took it, but I wasn't sure.
I can't imagine they send a paralyzed person out to fight.
What? Like just
No,
like on the front lines?
Back on Earth, because we have the general that's like, oh, I fought in this patrol in Brazil. Like, it alludes to wars that led to the dying planet.
Yeah, that's true. So he finds out he can run, and then the next time that they go in, they start to really explore more of the nature in the background. And the background, you can definitely understand why it was very, like, up-to-date, very, I'm looking for the right term. It definitely looks good in the sense that the backgrounds are all colorful and they're all unique.
They're very green, very representative of life and, like, plants and living organisms and stuff. Which I guess is a contrast to the dying Earth. But we don't even know that Earth is dying until like 30 minutes left in the movie.
Yeah, then you're like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're like, oh, there's a rich metal here, that's cool. But oh, our planet's dying? I didn't know that until 30 minutes.
What year does this take place again?
Yeah, wow, really?
I thought this was 2020. No. But yeah, also while they're there, we get to see some of the wildlife, such as the Thantor, who tries to kill them.
Is that the cat thing or the giant rhino thing?
I think that's the giant rhino thing. I'm on the Avatar Wikipedia. Sorry, the Pandorian Biosphere.
Of course.
That's the fauna. Wow, there's actually full things here. I have no idea if anything
full documentation.
Yeah, people they know Pandora better than I do.
Yeah.
But I believe that is the rhino. Yeah. That's the rhino, because then he's rescued by... I'm so gonna butcher this name. Neotri?
Is that the cat thing? Oh, no.
No, that's the
her.
girl.
That's her.
Nitri?
Natiri.
Yeah. Okay. See, I don't know these names. They just confuse me. Anyway, Natiri, she takes him, After saving his life
Yeah.
for the second time.
All right, so I'd like to intervene real quick. This is one of the gripes I had about how the movie was shot, maybe.
Oh boy.
But
I'm going to stay quiet, but you go ahead.
no, please comment or subscribe or whatever. But something that I found disappointing or interesting was that when the Na'vi are alone, as in there's no other humans or there's no machinery around them, when it's just them and the forest and wildlife, you lose a sense of scale for how large they are. Like earlier we found out that they're 10 feet tall, but when you're watching the movie and they're just in the forest, you kind of forget they're 10 feet tall. Because you have no frame of reference to real life or to what we know as a normal size.
That makes sense.
So like the rhino things, you don't know how big they are until the very end when, foreshadowing, spoiler, they kind of come back. And compared to the humans, they're a lot larger than what you might have thought they were.
It's kind of like, to compare it back to a Disney film, because that's all I can do, is in A Bug's Life, there was always something that the viewer could connect with.
To contrast.
Yeah, so like there'd be a soda can, you go, right, they're bugs, the grass would be a forest, this makes sense. But you are right in the sense of how it's shot, they look pretty much like 6 feet.
Yeah.
Or like
they'll
5
start
feet.
to look normal.
Yeah, because your brain goes like, oh, okay, they're just the same height.
And the wildlife will probably be scaled to how large they are.
Right, because it's their land, so they attend to it. That makes sense.
But when you have a human or a piece of machinery next to it, a Na'vi, then it's like, dang, these things are really tall again.
Yeah.
And you remember.
I didn't even think about that, so yeah. It's a good point. But later on, Neytiri notices these little white jellyfish. No, they're seeds. They're seeds of the wisdom tree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then they all float around him, and then they eventually all just kind of go away. And that's a sign.
He tries to swat at him.
Yeah, he hits him twice, right?
It's a mosquito.
Yeah. And then after that, she takes him to to her tribe, I guess you would call them, or her clan.
Pretty much into an ambush.
What are any of these? Okay, here's the problem with this film. So there's always characters in a film that you can go, okay, like Bug's Life, Flick, you got Heimlich, you got like all these unique names, but they all make sense.
Yeah.
This one, at a quick glance, looks like we're talking about Neytiri's mother, Moat.
Oh yeah.
Or it could be, at a quick glance, Moat.
It's a moat.
It's a moat. So the names aren't easy to remember. I assure you, if anyone listening, go to your friends who have seen Avatar at least once and go, name one character besides Jake.
Yeah, name a Na'vi.
Yeah, name a Na'vi, or like name someone, because you really can't. Like Dr. Grace, that's still like a name, but it's not a name that I remember.
It's not memorable.
Yeah, I go like, oh, right, mean one. Okay, one that asks for a cigarette.
Yeah, that one. But in terms of watching the movie, those names are very appropriate, I think, because they match with more of a tribal...
They do.
Tribal name phrase, I don't know.
They match with the setting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that makes sense, but I just wish that the names were a little bit more memorable. Or they at least said it more.
Jeremy the Warrior. Yeah, my favorite.
My name's Chad.
Chad
the Warrior. So, the clan agrees to take him in, take Jake into their society, but only if Neytiri teaches him how to live. This is when they get all close and personal.
So it's interesting, too. Well, this is kind of unrelated, but we see that Grace, she's been there before. She had her school established when they first got to the planet.
That's right.
And she raised some of the children, or she taught some of the children. Like, that's how some of them know English, is because of Grace and her school that she set up. But we find out that, the mean corporate guy shut it all down, because clearly diplomacy wasn't working for him.
And as we're there, we should talk about like another character in the film, which will bring us into the point that I want you to make, is Colonel Miles. Oh my gosh. Colonel Miles.
Oh, that's the general guy? With the scar across his face?
He's the head of the RDA's private security force. I cannot pronounce his last name. It looks like quarter inch. Quarter. Right there. Quar
Quaritch?
ITCH.
Quaritch.
Porridge.
Porridge.
Colonel Miles Porridge
Mm-hmm.
comes up and he says that he promises Jake that they'll get him enough money to restore his legs. And if he gets some more information about the Na'vi and all of that, specifically about this one place called the Home Tree, or the big giant tree that they all live in, no problem, because there's tons of unobtainium under it.
That's what they want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's driving a very specific vehicle, which is a giant, like, what would you call it?
A mech.
Megas?
It's a mech suit.
Yeah, so you had some issues with it.
See, probably one of the biggest gripes about this entire movie. It looks amazing. Its story is quite good. But, here's this weird little mech that looks like a Lego. Like, the way it moves doesn't make sense. It seems very weightless. And you can see how they operate it. It looks like they're sitting and they have things around their arms to control the arms. But tell me, how are they walking? They don't look like they're walking.
Well, they could just be like moving their legs up and down.
While they're sitting?
Yeah, just like up and down, like when you bounce your leg.
It doesn't make sense. It's aggravating. Every other vehicle, like the mining trucks, the dump trucks, the jets, the gunships, I mean, those are all very intricate and lifelike. Like, those are relatable, but those mechs, they're just, they seem like an afterthought. Just kind of thrown in. Their joints just sort of move every which way.
An afterthought, like they needed something big so that the humans at least had a chance.
Maybe, or something more humanoid as a robot.
What would you have designed? Would you have designed something similar to that? Like, you go to James Cameron and you're like, James, this isn't going to work.
So what I could have done is I would have been happy with more detail on those mechs. Because, their shape is fine, but movement is an issue. Like, give me some hydraulic rams on joints so it looks like there's a force moving that arm instead of them moving on their own. Give me joints, give me hydraulic lines, give me something that tells me that it's a machine and not like a force of magic. That's really weird. And
is it just because it bounces too much?
Right, it seems very weightless, and it seems like it moves on its own. Like there's nothing human-like that moves it, like hydraulics or electric motors. And like the legs, they pivot in a joint like a hip bone. But there's nothing giving me an idea as to what's making that move. So it's very fake. I'm going to reference a movie that does this very well in making robots seem realistic.
Does it have to do with a certain type of ocean?
It certainly does. Pacific Rim does this incredibly well by adding weight and no speed whatsoever to these giant mechs to show how heavy they are.
Can you pull up the film just so that I can see what you're talking about with the... Just so that I have a reference to...
Pacific Rim?
No, of the robots in Avatar, because I know you have the film up. But either way, sorry, just wanted to interrupt real quick. What were you saying?
So yeah, I mean, they sort of bounce around in Avatar. Pacific Rim does very well at showing the mass, the weight that these things have. And the speed of which they move. I mean, they're so large and they're very mechanical. Like, they're not smooth at all. The physical texture of these mechs in Pacific Rim. You're seeing it now?
I'm watching it now, and it looks... Okay, please don't... To anyone listening, don't hate me. They kind of look out of Spy Kids 3. Do you remember... Have you seen Spy Kids 3?
I believe I have.
Do you remember the very ending when all of them get together and Junie goes, call everyone, and then everyone comes in, and there's like those giant monkey things? They walk almost very similar to that. They're so bouncy.
Right? They're not really grounded. They don't really have a lot of weight.
No. Well, could that be because he did talk about that there's a decreased gravity? So do you think that would make... Well, no, because it's a giant robot.
It's still a robot with a human operating it.
Oh, so, no.
Now we see it all. Tell me, what's making those legs move? You have no idea.
No, because... Wait, how is he putting his hand there?
On his hips, if
it's... But...
It's not even shaped like a human. All right.
No, it's also kind of delayed. Like, he's pointing and it will go for like another half second, which, fine, I get it. It's
That's
a robot.
Fine, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Now look at those...
Why would it pivot?
See...
It shouldn't...
He's sitting, so How do the legs move? All right. The robot seems like an afterthought. They could have made it better. And
moving on.
I'd like to leave it at that.
I'd like to leave it at that. So, yes. So, Dr. Grace, Jake, and Norm, who could forget him, they all go out to a little outpost. And there's a long part of the film that I kind of wanted to skip. And it's the whole scene where Jake and Atari are falling in love together. Like, because it's so long. I get it. Love takes a while. But it's so long. Because it's, what does he do? He starts learning the language. He starts meeting with Natari's friends or clan people.
Riding the horse.
Riding the horse, which I guess you connect through your hair.
Yep.
So does your hair have nerve endings?
Probably.
I don't know.
Because, right, it's like probably like an extension of the spinal cord or something. I don't know.
Well, no, because it's all like liquidy.
It's like tentacular.
It's just so weird. I didn't get that.
And we learned that they've been there for at least 3 months. Because
yeah,
Jake says that.
That's how long this has been going for. And then he also gets the big bird. The what's it called?
The red one or the first one?
Just what they're kind.
Yeah, he gets the first bird by wrestling it and like almost dying, but that's okay.
It's not a Sasquatch. It's a.
It's a rite of passage. That's what it is. You have to wrestle your own.
Yeah. How do you figure out that this giant bird creature is yours? It will try to kill you. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So he just walks around in full defense and
Screaming
trying to attack the other ones. It's like, well, what if it's not going to attack? Like, what if none of them?
What if there are none that want to?
Or the problem is, what if two attack?
Oh no.
Then you're like, oh. So either way, he does get one. He learns how to fly it. They start to flirt, and they're like, no, you stop flying your bird. No, you.
And then I turned left, and you went right. Yeah.
Crazy. And it's like,
that went on for 5 solid minutes.
Yeah. And then afterwards, Jake starts to find these little bulldozer things that are trying to go into the sacred Navi area. So he's like, oh no.
Oh yeah, that scene's also weird. Because the bulldozers are cool. They're like remote controlled. They have cameras on them and everything. But then you have guards. You have the guards walking with these bulldozers. And to me, that doesn't make sense. Because there's guards with the mechs. It's like, okay, that's fine. But then you have normal guards with gas masks. Like, why do you have both? Either stick with pure mechs or just stick with pure soldiers. I don't get why there's both. And when Jake is attacking the camera, they don't do anything.
You know what got me was that, and again, we never find out how advanced this technology is, but I just happen to think, if the technology is so advanced that you can make like these giant robots, you can make giant bulldozers, and you can get them to space so far away, and like all this different types of stuff, why can't you put, like essentially the backpack for the gas mask inside your lung so that you could just breathe that air?
Right? Like, why not replace the gas mask with something futuristic?
Yeah, or just something. Like, you could even, like, I don't know, like chewing gum or something. Or, like, nose.
Right.
Put things in your nose. And it's like, fine, okay, they're so deep in you can't see it. All right.
That makes sense.
Like, that would work. But either way, back to this, because we can't talk about the technology, mainly because
sure we can.
I don't know technology. Well, you know technology, I don't.
It's fun.
I know computers, you know.
Yeah, everything.
Machinery.
Yeah.
So... Jake tries to tell the Navi that to not abandon the home tree, but then they all kind of say, like the humans say we have to destroy it.
Yeah, because Jake learns that, you know, their plan, democracy is off the table, and the Colonel is starting to lose trust in Jake, because he's, like, starting to fall in love with Natiri and the people and all that. So, I mean, now he's starting to warn him, and they're like, you're an alien, don't listen to him, he's weird. And then they try to, like, hold their ground, which doesn't go well.
No, is that the forest fire scene?
That's what leads up to it.
Yeah, because...
Because then Colonel comes into the secret base and shuts them down, and they pass out right in front of all the tribe.
Yeah, by the way, it's Colonel, but it's also the main boss kind of guy of RDA, I guess you could call him. Is Selfridge.
Oh yeah,
Selfridge.
He's like the business guy.
He's the business guy, but he's also just he's kind of having fun.
Is he an anti-hero? Like, he does all these bad things, but you can see in his face that he doesn't want to.
I don't think he's an anti-hero. I think he just thinks that what he's doing isn't good, but needs to be done.
Yeah.
So he kind of views it as like, okay, what my actions are, they're terrible, but it's going to save
Us.
so much. Yeah, it's like it's very similar to like the trolley puzzle of like,
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so here are two options: we let Earth die and like billions of people die,
But we let the Na'vi live.
and we let the Na'vi live, or we kill a couple thousand Na'vi and save billions of people on Earth.
Which is weird, because how is a
'Cause,
rare
like,
metal gonna save the planet?
That, yeah, they never really explain how unobtainium works.
No. It's just rich. And who's rich on a dying planet besides monopolies at this point? But
Yeah, it's like, well, by this point, Disney probably has like the world
oh, yeah, at their fingertips.
at their it's 2100. So, yeah. So after this, there's this giant, essentially forest fire. Home tree's gone. Natiri's father is dead, who's the clan chief, and a whole bunch of others are also dead. Moet is free. Natiri's mother. But then she does something. What did she do?
She frees Jake and Grace because they
Yeah.
tied him up.
Yeah, and they're like, "You're free."
Because
You
they're
can
like,
help
you
now."
knew this and you didn't tell us.
Yeah, how dare you?
Yeah.
And then Grace is shot by the Colonel.
Right? At that point, you can see the pure rage in the Colonel's eyes because he doesn't care about the gas. Remember, he just busts out the door, gun in hand, starts shooting at the gunship. You know, the fake not helicarrier, the fake Quinjet from Avatar, Avengers, and then you don't see until later where someone rushes out with a gas mask. You know, he's infuriated at this point.
Yeah, he is just done with everything.
Yeah.
He's like, he no longer cares about the unobtainium. He just cares. He's more in the sense of just genocide.
Yeah. Orders have broken. And right, it's interesting. Because when he's gathering more of his troops, he's talking about how this is their survival. This is to protect them from the savages that are beyond the fence. And that's an interesting point of view. Because we see Jake care about like the people and the Na'vi, and we just see the Colonel care about him and his soldiers. And how this is to fight for their own survival.
Do you think, like, for instance, different type of movie, Jake doesn't connect with the Na'vi. Like, he doesn't talk to them, but he, like, studies and spies them. So, like, he's still seeing what they do and all that kind of actions. Do you think the same outcome would have come up? Like, with,
I mean, that's how it started.
That's how it's...
That's what the Colonel wanted.
Well, no. Not like, he doesn't become an avatar. He's still human, but he's just, like, hypothetically, he can get to all the same places. But, yeah, but he can still get there, but he's, like, studying what they eat, their language, all that kind of stuff, instead of communicating with them face to face.
I don't think they let him get that far. I think the Na'vi have such a wide knowledge of their own environment and, like, of their dislike in the sky people, the humans, that I don't think they'd even let him get close to what they do or anything, especially Home Tree. Because that's basically what the Colonel wanted.
Yeah. It is a different type of film.
Yeah.
So we've just reached about the halfway point. We're actually almost done with the film. We're getting there. But we're at the halfway point of the podcast, and this is usually the part where we cast ourselves. So we can't... Here's the rules. We can't become characters in the film, but we can become a character...
Like, if we put ourselves in it.
Yeah, like, where would you see yourself? I could see you being a designer for the robots.
Yeah, I would...
Making them better.
I'd rebuild the robots. I think I could be, like, the side character, the girl that flies the jets. You know, that...
Oh, like her helper?
Gonzalez, I don't know what her last name was.
Something like that.
But she was a pilot. Like, I could envision myself being the mech version of her. Like, bringing mechs to the secret base or whatever, or, you know, moving, I don't know, something like that. Where I would be in control of, like, operating jets or machinery or something like that.
Yeah. I see myself more with just kind of hanging out with Norm.
Oh yeah.
Just going like, because, okay, as much as we're downplaying Norm, in the same sense, in the background, you can still tell that he's very excited to be here. He knows what he's doing. He's definitely not a military guy, but he's more in the sense of studying and trying to understand everything, which I really like. So I'd hang out with Norm. I'd also tell him to be in the movie more because we're running out of screen time, and he's done nothing.
I know, Norm is really just put in place, especially when the Colonel tries to shut everything down on their mobile base. He's like, no, you can't do that. And then they just shove him away, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's like, thanks, Norm.
Yeah, glad you could stop him, Norm.
Good job.
Yep. And then he punches the one guy in the face later on. Oh, good job, Norm. Now you're in handcuffs.
Yeah,
but you did nothing.
You'll get him next time.
That's right.
So, okay. Time for the weird part of the film.
The what now?
The weird part of the film. So, Jake has to regain the trust of the Navi from scratch, essentially. So he connects with the Toruk, Toruk, and which is like a dragon kind of thing.
Well, it's basically the same bird, but giant.
It's a big
the alpha bird.
Yeah, and when he connects with it, they kind of just go like, "Oh, yay!"
Because right, only 5 other people have done it.
Yeah,
or 4 other people, 5 other people.
I think 4 because he was the 5th.
Yeah,
I think, but it made sense. I don't get the connecting process of how they connect their mind. It's just one of those fine, okay.
I don't get why the giant bird is selective. Like, is it AWA that tells the bird, hey, this guy's good, he's going to be the next leader. But, like, the Torok, I mean, that's like a symbol of power, I guess. And how do they even make more Toroks?
Yeah.
Because we see one skull, like, that they shrine or whatever, but then we just see one that's alive. Like, okay, where are the others? Are there more? Is this the last one in existence? I don't know.
The Banshees.
Oh, those are
That's
the birds?
what they're called.
The birds?
Yeah. They're called Banshees. No, yeah, the Torok is the giant bird.
The alpha banshee.
Which I looked it up. It's the great Lenoperitsex, and which is the Navi name, meaning Torek, which means last shadow.
Right, because it's the last one you're going to see.
It's the last one in the whole film.
No,
but still, it's like he connects with it. Okay, that's fine. The Navi kind of show that they trust it, but also they
kind of skip over how he connected. They just sort of show him jumping off his own banshee and landing on the alpha banshee.
And they're like, okay. And this happens in the span of a minute.
What if it didn't work?
Yeah, he's like, I gotta show the Navi they can trust me. Whoops.
Yeah, jumps
or
off
he
his
just
own.
misses.
Oh gosh.
Here I come.
Yeah. He won't expect to look up. Looks up.
Uh-oh. So, yeah, he connects and then they all trust him. And then Jake finds the refugees at the Tree of Souls, which is the tree we were talking about with those little seeds. And he tells Moat, hey, can you heal Grace?
She's kind of dying.
She's kind of dying. Not feeling too well. Can you help her?
Yeah. While I'm capturing this alpha banshee, she's been kind of dying.
she's under a little woozy spell at the moment.
Yeah.
So, all the people, all the Navi, they try to transfer Grace into an avatar.
Hers.
To help with the Tree of Souls.
With the help of the Tree of Souls.
Yeah. That's what. Oh, yeah, sorry. And then she dies before the process can even...
Because she was too weak.
Start.
That was basically it.
She was weak!
Yeah. And I don't know what makes Jake not weak at the very end.
Because he's a pure of heart.
But we'll talk later.
So, yeah, she dies. Oh, no. She won't be in any of the other 4 sequels. If she's in any of the other 4 sequels. I was about to say, if in 2027, if in 7 years, she's back.
Yeah. So that transfer process is interesting. Because we know that AWA, or the Tree of Life, like Grace said earlier, it's something biological is happening. Where every plant has a nervous system, every tree is connected. And like the weird vines of ancestors, I don't know what that was called, but where they could hear the voices of their ancestors. She said it was like backing up data and how it's like a giant computer. And it's interesting that the idea of transferring her mind and spirit from one body through the planet and then back into the avatar she once had. Like, that's a weird concept for a biological, like, phenomenon, I guess.
Different planet.
Yeah.
Different time.
What do you think, Jared?
I don't know. Because I don't know how, like, this kind of stuff works. Because I'm sure it's, like, based off of something, and I don't want to offend if it's based off of something.
Right? Like,
but,
what if this is another religion?
Well, I don't think it's that. But, like I get, like, how some people believe that, like, trees have souls and, like, plants have souls and everything has a soul kind of thing. I get that, but at the same point, I don't know how it works.
Yeah.
Because, like, you step on grass.
Especially in the final fight scene. I don't know how that works.
But we're getting to that right now.
Whoa!
Because Jake gets the entire clan. This one guy who we haven't even been talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Suitsei.
Excuse me, but surprise, there's multiple tribes.
Whoa!
We had no clue of this until the very end.
Crazy. So now there's, like, we go from hundreds to about
2,000. They say 2,000.
Yeah. And then Jake, on, like, the eve of battle, he talks to Awa, like a connection to the Tree of Life, or Tree of Souls kind of thing, and it's like, can you help? We need help.
Mm-hmm. And that's where we learn the Earth is dying. And
now,
which is like 30 minutes before it's over.
The time has come. The humans are on one side. The Pandorians are on the other. A tumbleweed goes by. And then they all kill each other.
Isn't that exciting?
It's just essentially just all death and destruction in every single direction. So, Suitsei and Trudy, they both die. But they're rescued by the wildlife after they join.
I actually got sad when Trudy died. I'm like, oh.
Not
RIP.
Trudy! No! Who's Trudy?
She was the pilot.
Oh, right.
You know, the one that kind of saved them all, but that's alright.
The one that saved them. No, but Trudy was good. She saved the world. And then all the humans are like, whoa, what's going on with all this wildlife?
Because really, mainly it was just the ground forces and then the birds that they had. It was the birds that the tribe members had. The banshees.
And then Natari takes, this is like kind of like Awa's answer to Jake's prayer.
What?
Or message of, like, because Jake was like, please help, and then Natari
oh yeah, she's like, she doesn't take sides, but
in this
the balance
case,
of life.
Yeah.
So again, I'm gonna say the scale. This is where you realize how large the banshees are compared to the helicopter jets.
Yeah.
Because they start fighting against them, and then the horses and the Na'vi fighting on the ground compared to the mechs and the humans. I mean, it's very impressive how large these things are, but again, you lose that once you have no frame of reference.
Yeah, because this scene really shows just how big everything is.
Yeah.
Because you don't really notice until you see, like, helicopters and all this stuff. I think one of the best scenes is when Jake is in, like, a helicopter trying to get rid of a bomber who's going to the Tree of Souls.
When he's fighting on the gunship?
Yeah, because it's like, oh, okay, he's big.
Yeah, he's on the roof running towards the front with grenades. Like, who knows how he got those, but that's all right. I mean, their size is very impressive, especially when the cargo door is down and one of the Na'vi jumps in. You see how large he is compared to...
Are you pulling it up?
Yeah, compared to the humans. Like, wow, we've seen him the entire movie, but now we see
him to scale.
Yeah.
So, while he pulls that up, I'll try to finish this off. So, Cordage, or the Colonel, he comes up and he's still in the suit, and he's trying to escape, like, his own aircraft, and he breaks open an avatar link unit which has Jake's human body in it, which exposes him to essentially Pandora's atmosphere, because you can't breathe it because you need the gas masks.
Yeah.
Oh no, and then he prepares to essentially double kill Jake. I don't know why he wouldn't just wait, because no, instead he's like ready to cut Jake's avatar, but then Natari comes in and she kills him and then saves Jake from suffocating with like the gas mask kind of thing, and then she sees his human form for the first time. And then you wanted to talk. Yeah, let me see the scale real quick. So, yeah, he's riding a Banshee. That
He'll
Banshee
jump off the
huge.
Banshee. He jumps off the Banshee onto the flight on the cargo door.
Yeah,
he's just throwing these soldiers around.
Yeah, really could just kick them and they'd go
almost
miles.
Twice their size. I mean, you lose that when they're on their own, and it's really disappointing.
Yeah, and especially since this type of vehicle that they're in, the type of plane, no,
it's a cargo jet.
It's a cargo jet. So you can take that and measure exactly how tall he is.
Yeah, he fills up the cargo door. I mean, he fills up that area.
Yeah, now it might be bigger, I don't know, because it's the future.
It's a future cargo jet.
But either way, the point is that, okay, he's still as big as a cargo jet. So measure how tall that is, add a couple inches, lose a couple inches.
Yeah, pixel measurements, whatever.
Yeah, like, either way, just measure 10 feet at home, and that's how tall he is.
And then they're swinging around probably a 6-foot bow. Like,
At least.
they look like normal bows.
Mm-hmm.
But once they start swinging them, hitting people, it's like, oh my gosh, those things are massive.
Those things are the size of the humans.
Yeah, and you don't know that until you see a reference point.
Yeah. So all of the humans at the very end, because the Na'vi have won the battle, they're sent...
Well, hold on, not yet.
You want to take over?
I mean, you can't forget that almost every side character died.
Well, yeah, but they essentially won.
Did you explain how they won?
How'd they win?
AWA, calling upon the animals.
Yeah, yeah, we explained that.
The entire Banshee species starts tearing apart every helicopter. And that, I'm pulling it up again.
Okay.
Their size compared to these helicopters are incredible. And especially the rhinos, foreshadowing, they're back. They help.
We're like, we know those characters.
Yeah, they help What's-Her-Face, because she's about to die. But because the soldiers start running away, these rhino things start charging. And they destroy the mechs like they're paper mache, which is disappointing yet again. That's alright.
A lot of this film was just a disappointment, huh?
No,
they didn't get the robot right. The scale was bad.
I know. I don't know how I would have improved the scale, but
I feel like just camera placement would have probably done a huge favor.
If there were more low shots.
Yeah, just show that they're
further
tall.
away. Yeah, I don't. Maybe. All right. So I don't think
So at the very end, humans, they go away from Pandora. They're essentially to never return.
Only the good ones stay.
The good ones, so Jake, Norm, and a couple.
Yeah.
Trudy, all of them. And then Jake is transferred into his avatar, and he goes into help the Tree of Souls.
Yeah.
And then the film ends.
Well, that's exciting.
See, so we put an entire 2.5 hour film into around 45 minutes. Not too shabby at all. So, like we said, needs to say, this film has a huge fan base that I don't want to upset, but it's an incredible film, especially for the technology, how it was marketed with books, video games, action figures, all that kind of stuff. It made a ton at the box office, so there's no doubt that Disney definitely had their eyes on it, and now you can watch it on Disney Plus, which is what Hunter and I have been doing during this podcast. It's a long film, though. It's 161 minutes, so almost 2.5 hours. It's still a good watch, but oof, it's a while. Okay, so now, the entire Banshee fleet.
Yeah, and then you're gonna see them attack helicopters or
that's
the jets.
right.
They just overtake these.
Oh,
things.
they're gone. Well, no, that's about the size of a helicopter.
It takes two of them to take it down.
It takes two.
It's quite impressive.
Yeah, it is very impressive. So, what would you say is the main lesson of the film? What's something that you looked at and you went, this is what I learned?
Right. So first there's, hero's journey. There's a hero's journey. The mentor dies. Jake becomes a hero.
Oh, this film follows it excellently.
Right? Grace is the mentor. But I think a main lesson is tradition? Could that be one? Because he's trying to preserve the culture and their spirit and home. Because it's very religious and belief oriented with the Na'vi. While the humans, the sky people, they're very, capitalist. They want money. They're very machine oriented. And they'll...
So yeah, more in the sense of like, is tradition important or is money important?
Yeah.
And I think, like you were saying, the films lean more towards tradition. So that's a good lesson. I mean, you kind of stole mine, but like probably another lesson you could learn is just kind of don't judge things too quickly. Because at the very beginning of the film, we're led to believe, oh, okay, the Na'vi are dangerous, they're evil,
They're savages.
Savages, and they're attacking, like the giant trucks. At the very beginning, we see some arrows stuck in the tires, but by the end, you see that no, they're
They're protecting their land.
Yeah, it's like the complete opposite. So you start on the enemy side and you go to the good side, kind of thing.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's a good film. So, out of 10, let's say out of 10...
Yeah.
What's like a main object in the film? Out of 10 Banshees, how many
Okay.
Banshees would you give this?
10 Banshees. It's a good 7 or 8. You know, story's there. It follows... Well, the hero's journey is really point for point. Like, it's not really...
It doesn't brush over. It's like, this
Yeah,
is the part.
this is a hero story. This is the mentor. She dies. And it's like, oh. So really strong with that. But I'd say overall it's got a good story. It's, you know, it's effects. We've been over this. It's amazing for 2009. But, you know, it's not perfect.
Yeah, so what did you give it?
7 or 8.
Pick one.
7.5 Banshees.
Okay, so a Banshee with it. So 7 Banshees and one with an injured wing.
That's right.
Okay.
The Nemo of Banshees.
The Nemo Banshee. So, yeah, I mean, like you said, great story. Still looks beautiful today, and especially for 2009, it looks exceptionally well, especially since Spy Kids 3 came out.
Yeah, what else came out around then?
2009, I think a couple of films came out that year, but let me see. Avatar, District 9, Sherlock Holmes, The Hangover, Star Trek, Coraline, Fantastic Mr. Fox, Zombieland,
Oh, Transformers, Revenge of the Fallen.
Princess and the Frog, like they're Harry Potter 6,
Up.
The Half-Prince. Up came out 2009.
So, right, compared to Transformers, Revenge of the Fallen, I mean, I've seen that. And
Oh no.
no, it's fine.
Monsters vs. Aliens and Alvin and the Chipmunks, the Squeakquel came out the same year too.
Good. We're comparing this to that.
This film's incredible! And
Yeah.
then the live action Where the Wild Things Are. So it did wonderful compared to the films that were going on at the time. The only thing I wish was that some things were more explained. I just wish I understood more behind it. But I'm sure they're going to cover that in like the other films. But so overall, I'd give it... it was still an enjoyable watch. I just wish that I could understand a bit more, so I was going to give it 7 Banshees.
Right? Either that would constitute like a 3-hour-long movie or a sequel. Like they're doing now.
And I don't want a... like Jim Henson and the Muppets and Puppets and all that. Have you heard of The Dark Crystal?
Yeah.
Okay, so when that first one came out, have you ever seen The Dark Crystal?
No.
That is a confusing movie because Jim Henson didn't get to tell the full story that he wanted to. So it's a lot of like things that's a film that every single plot point is just accepted. So
you agree with it.
You agree with it. Of just like there's one point where the two characters share memories by just like holding hands, and they just go, "Whoa, are these your memories?"
As one does.
Oh, okay, yeah. It's like, oh, let me tell you about this weird dream I had. Hold my hand.
Whoa.
So I just wish that there was a bit more kind of stuff. But where I was going with that was that they released books and comic books and the Netflix show that came out. So that's probably what we would have gotten with Avatar if it wasn't bought by Disney.
And so kind of the mystery behind it, not knowing everything, it's kind of like humans' interpretation of the Na'vi. Like when they first arrived on that planet, they knew nothing. And we're kind of learning with them like what the characters know. So, I mean, to me, it's kind of fine that we don't know every single detail, because no one would in 3 months.
No, not in 3 months.
So, I just think it's kind of...
But at least then act like you don't know. kind of thing.
Right.
Because it was like he was acting like, oh yeah, I know everything about
I've been here.
It's like,
since,
no,
yeah.
Do you?
Right. That makes sense to me. Right? Just sort of deal with it. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
I get that.
Tree of Souls, solid.
Yeah.
Got it.
Don't know how long it's been there, but it's just my type. I like it.
Yeah, just my type. Look at that tree.
Yeah.
So, yeah, overall, we averaged it like a 7.25 film. So, you excited for Avatar 2?
Yes.
That sounded very unsure.
It is, because I'm scared. Like, Tron Legacy was a great movie.
Yes.
And people wanted a sequel, but in my mind, I didn't. I thought Tron ended very well. And I think this ends very well, too. So, I don't know where they can expand upon this, other than either a main villain comes back, or there's a new villain. So, and that just sort of follows the line of sequels that has plagued movies forever. And I just don't want it to ruin the name Avatar or the first movie.
Yeah, which can happen with sequels, and especially since already 2 and 3 are done.
Yeah.
Essentially, now it's just you have to edit it, make it look good.
And they're trying to go to 5. Like, what?
They're going to 5. Yeah, even...
What can they do with 5? I mean...
Even, like, when they announced Toy Story 4, I was a bit skeptical. Because it's like, really? So,
like, with Transformers movies, it's like, oh, it's another villain. Oh, look, the next movie's another villain. Like, I mean, it's just sort of...
And now that Jake's essentially still an Avatar...
Yeah.
How are you gonna...
Permanently in it. Like, how do you develop that?
Yeah, it's like, well, now it's just voice acting at that point. Because
Yeah.
he can't, unless it's like facial structure.
Motion capture.
Yeah, but either way, it's like, no, I want to see him act.
Was it motion capture?
It was motion captured.
Yeah, so he'd still probably do that.
Mm-hmm. But overall, music good, story good. Don't ruin it.
Yeah, please don't.
Don't ruin it.
Don't add more fluff
than it needs.
Cough, cough, Pacific Rim Uprising. No one asked for it. It was a cash grab. Everything was worse about it. Pacific Rim never had a good story, but everything else was incredible. But everything else that Pacific Rim was, the sequel just soiled it. So I don't want that to happen to this either.
I still haven't seen Pacific Rim. You've told me to watch it.
I have. I'm waiting for that podcast.
You want to go watch it right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Let's go watch it. So we're going to go do that. But thank you again, Hunter, for being on the podcast, for the Triple J Studios podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. You probably will only be back for like Pacific Rim and that kind of
yeah.
Unless
Tron Legacy. If
Tron. Yeah. I mean, I'd
invite Anthony to that one.
Yeah, we could do like all 3 Trons, right? Because there's Tron 1980s.
Yep.
Tron
Legacy.
And
then the TV show.
The TV show. Yeah, we can do all of those. So we'll do a Tron marathon possibly. So thank you again for listening, and until next time, we'll see you all later. See you later.
Goodbye.